broadcast crew, Jay Glazer. Jay?
Kenny, you've talked about how much Brett Favre doesn't like this place. We talked to Brett last night. We said, look, this could be the last time you play here at the Metrodome. And his quote was, good, I hope so. I hate this place. I hope they tear this place down. What is it that you don't like about this place so much? He said, just the crowd noise there, the whole atmosphere, it's just really difficult there. After the meeting, I followed him out and I said, look, you've had some wins here. Was there anything you liked, any great memory from here at the Metrodome? He said, no, none. Even in the wins, I just hate that place. Back to you guys.
Well, Jay, last year they were winning 17-0 here in the first half of that game and ended up losing it by the field goal in the last second, 23-20.
Packers did win here at the Metrodome in both 2003 and 04, so they've won 2 of their last 3.
Brett has a short memory.
Former Packer Ryan Longwell will get things started. The Packers have won the toss, and the opening kickoff taken by the former Lion, Sean Boddingford. And Boddingford brought down at the 28-yard line. So Brett Favre leaves the Packers out. His 230th consecutive regular season start. 250th in a row, including the postseason. Favre this year has completed 58% of his passes, 11 touchdowns, only 7 picks. And he has attempted the most passes in the league. Amon Green in the backfield, 1st and 10 from the 28-yard line for Green Bay. Off the play fake, Favre throwing on 1st down, and it's too far, intended for Donald Driver, the Packers' leading receiver. We check out the Green Bay offensive line, a pair of rookie guards, Darren College and Jason Spitz. 3 consecutive 100-yard games for Amon Green. Jennings, a rookie out of Western Michigan, and Driver 4th in the NFL in receptions. Driver split to the left. Jennings, bottom of the screen. 2nd and 10. Short drop, and the slant deflected. It was intended for Greg Jennings. The Vikings, first in the NFL against the run, led by the 2 big guys inside, Pat and Kevin Williams. Kevin with 5 sacks. Dontarius Thomas starting once again for the injured Napoleon Harris. Cedric Griffin and Greg Blue, 2 rookies starting in the secondary. Blue is starting for Dwight Smith. Favre out of the shotgun, 3rd and 10. Favre pressured. And the pass broken up by Griffin. Cedric Griffin starting today for Fred Smoot. The Packers go 3 and out.
Well, they went 3 and out with 3 straight passes, which is surprising because they came in wanting to run the ball. Ruvell Martin, little used player right now, getting more time. Good breakup by the rookie Cedric Griffin, starting today for Fred Smoot, who had a death in the family and missed all week of practice.
John Ryan punting to Moelde Moore. Moore takes it at the 32. And is tackled at the 36-yard line by Jason Hunter. 40-yard punt. And Brad Johnson leads the Vikings offense out. The oldest starting quarterback in the NFL. Favre is 2nd. Favre, 37 years of age. Johnson in his 2nd stint with the Vikings, 15th season in the National Football League. Vikings start from their own 37-yard line. They have scored on 7 of their 8 opening drives this year. 6 field goals and a touchdown. And the handoff on 1st down is to Chester Taylor, the former Raven, who gains 4. Taylor coming into this weekend 4th in the NFL in rushing yards. A look at the offensive line, same starters every game. Steve Hutchinson, the former Seahawk, has gone to the last 3 Pro Bowls. Corey Williamson had trouble hanging on to the football last week. Travis Taylor with 26 receptions, another former Baltimore Raven. Chester Taylor Here's the lone back. 2nd down and 6. Off the play fake. Johnson in trouble, and he throws it away.
Here they're going to come with the blitz right here. You're going to see a linebacker right here. Nick Barnett coming. He's the one that gets the pressure on Brad Johnson, who wants to set up a screen to the back, and the Packers were all over that. And you look around the league right now, Kenny, today kicks off the second half of the season. And so around the league, everybody is sort of in the playoff hunt. Both these teams are thinking about it, but it's time to play their best football. And for the Vikings, they've got to do a better job of getting the ball to the wide receivers if they're going to make a playoff push.
3 wide receivers, 3rd and 6. Johnson had trouble with the snap out of the shotgun, and the pass is intended for the former Patriot, Bethel Johnson. So after the Packers went 3 and out on their opening possession, the Vikings go 3 and out as Chris Kluwe will punt.
Yeah, Brad Johnson has a hard time getting this snap here from Matt Burke. He's keeping his eyes down the field. It was interesting. Brad Johnson told us this week that he went into the film room. He started watching this Green Bay defensive line, studying the line. He said he never does that, except that Aaron Campman of the Packers leads this league in sacks, and he wants to see what he can do.
So now Kluwe punting to Charles Woodson. Good kick. Terrific hang time. And Woodson from the 8 is stopped just shy of the 15-yard line. 52-yard punt. The 2 oldest quarterbacks in the league are 0 for 5 so far.
Fox NFL Sunday, sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 41.
Back in Minneapolis, Dwight Smith, the free safety for the Vikings, did not start. Greg Blue was out during the opening series, but Smith in the game, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Packers went 3 and out on their opening drive, start from their own 15. Driver in motion. 3 passes, 3 incompletions on the opening drive. First carry of the game, and Ahman Green is forced back. We check in downstairs with Jay Glazer, and we asked Jay what happened with Dwight Smith this week.
Dwight Smith was benched for the opening series, and the weird reason why is he was late to yesterday's meetings on Saturday, and this is a change in culture that Brad Childress, the coach, is trying to instill here. So there is a no tolerance policy. You're late, even 5 minutes, you're sitting down the first series of the game. Back to you.
Thanks, Jake. 2nd and 10 from the 15. Again, it's Ahman Green, hurdles out to the 17-yard line, gain of 2. Kevin Williams made the tackle, so the Packers now staring at 3rd down and 8.
Well, the Packers come out on the second series, and they want to try to run the ball, get Ahman Green going here. And the Packers have changed their culture. They've changed their coaching staff, and they've really gone to a zone blocking scheme, different from what they've done in the past. They want to try to get these defensive tackles moving, and they want to run up the middle today, but that also is the strength of this Viking defense. So far, early in this game, the Vikings have bottled them up.
4 wide receivers, 3rd down and 8. Packers must get to the 25. Favre steps up, throws, and it's caught by a wide-open Donald Driver. All the way out to the 44-yard line. A Packers first down, a 27-yard pass play.
Well, Brett had great protection on this play right here. He said what he loves most on any play is if he can get the middle open. Watch the middle open up for him. There's no hands in his face, no bodies around him. He said when he can get that kind of vision, he almost never misses. And that's his favorite target. Donald Driver catching his 51st pass of this season.
Only 3 players in the NFL have caught more. Noah Herron in the backfield, 1st and 10 from the 44. Play action. Favre looked left. Now looks right and throws it out of bounds. So a 2nd and 10 coming up as we say hello for the first time today with Chris Rose in Los Angeles. Chris.
Hi, Kenny. In Motown, 3rd and 16 for the Niners. Frank Gore on the draw. Quite frankly, this is atrocious tackling by the Lions. 7th rush of at least 20 yards per Gore. That leads the league, and the Niners lead the Lions 7-zip. Back to Kenny Baldy in the Glade.
Yeah, the Vikings did a great job of shutting Frank Gore down out there last week. Just turned the ball over too many times and came away with only 3 points.
Second and 10. Favre looking for Driver. Broken up by E.J. Henderson. Favre talked to us about the noise factor here in Minneapolis. Does it look like the Packers are using a silent count?
He doesn't like a silent count. You know, I mean, Brett came into this league with Mike Holmgren here in Green Bay in his 2nd year, and Mike never used the silent count. Brett likes to call the signals up there. He thinks if you go to a silent count, it gives the defense an advantage. And already you can't hear his linemen are laid off the ball if they go silent. So he likes to bark out the signals. It hurt him last week with a couple of exchange problems in Buffalo.
Favre on 3rd and 10. Gets rid of it, and Driver makes the adjustment and holds it in for another Packers first down. What a catch by Driver.
What a catch and what a throw. Because Brett Favre was falling backwards, feeling the pressure, holding the ball as long as he can. But Brett said he fully trusts Donald Driver right now. Like he's come with the blitz. Favre somehow stays on his feet. Still has that uncanny ability just to make that play, that gunslinger mentality, knowing that Donald Driver will be as aggressive as anybody to get the ball.
22-yard pass play. Movement prior to the snap.
Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's on the left guard, Darren Collins.
And those are the plays that really hurt an offense, because now it's 1st and 15. And they really want to try to eliminate the negative plays. They want to be able to get positive plays each single play, so that when you get to 3rd down, if you do, it's a real makeable down.
Two big 3rd down receptions by Donald Driver on this drive, as Amon Green takes it down to the 38-yard line for a gain of 2.
I tell you what, Green Bay wants to do is they want to try to get as many cut blocks as they can in this running game. And you say, well, a cut block, what does that do? It really, watch the backside here. Watch these guys go for the cut blocks here. Right there, there's a cut block. And what happens is defenders, the defensive line, the linebackers, they start worrying so much about their legs, protecting their legs, that they could get hurt. They start giving up ground. And sometimes in the 1st quarter it doesn't show up. But if you keep pounding him and cutting him and cutting him, by the 3rd and 4th quarter, those runs really open up.
2nd and 13. Favre to the fullback, William Henderson. And Henderson takes it down to the 31-yard line and is shaken up. Gain of 5 on the play.
It could be a troublesome area for the Green Bay Packers. They're already without their starting fullback, Brandon Myree, out with an elbow injury. William Henderson, the veteran, is in there. And they really like a fullback in the offense.
Henderson and Favre, the only Packers remaining from their Super Bowl victory. Veteran fullback William Henderson injured on the last play. Looking to walk it off on the sidelines. 3rd down and 7. Favre hit Driver on the last 2 3rd down plays. Favre steps up and throws again. It's Driver. Another first down reception on 3rd down for Donald Driver.
Favre got just whacked at the end of this play. He took some big shots against Buffalo last week. Darian Scott just drove him into the ground. They're really supposed to call that as a penalty right there, kind of excessively driving him into the ground after this throw. Well, Donald Driver, though, and Brett Favre have hooked up tremendously. I said Donald Driver would be my fantasy choice today.
There's Amon Green inside the 10, gain of 2. On this drive, 3 receptions for Driver, 70 yards.
Favre's still trying to get his breath back. You know, when you get driven into the ground like that, you lose your breath. He's trying to get his breath back. Get William Henderson back in the lineup after getting shaken up a couple of plays ago. And this place has gotten quiet. And they all know that if you have success, you can quiet this crowd down.
Second and 9. Green with Henderson leading the way. Green will stop just shy of the goal line.
Well, that's that zone blocking scheme right there to the left, right behind the rookie, Darren College. And Amon Green just stuffed it right behind him and got good push at the point. All the way down, it looks like right to the 1 yard line. Watch this. Watch this good run here by Amon Green. Looking for some softness. That's right at those two tackles. That's right at Pat and Kevin Williams in there, and they got them moving. Yeah, he's already down. Trying to stretch it for them.
Knee was down, and the question is, did he pick up the first down?
I don't think that's a real good spot, though. It looked like he was further along than that.
Stopped just short, so it will be 3rd and inches.
Well, the worst play of the game last week for the Packers was against Buffalo. 1st and goal at the 1. Boy, good push. Guys down there blocking on the safeties. Looked like that ball was across the yellow line. Yellow line signaling the first down marker.
So a 3rd and inches for the Packers from the Vikings 1 yard line.
Well, most cases you'd love a quarterback sneak here, but that's a quarterback sneak goes right into the teeth of this Viking defense. Like those two Williamses inside.
Amon Green, and he's tackled by Pat Williams behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, they ran right at the strength there. Mike McCarthy's going to settle for a field goal. I think they got a bad spot before that, though. I think they had a first down, which they could have challenged. Have to settle now for the field goal.
So Dave Raymer out to attempt a 20-yard field goal. Second season out of Michigan State. John Ryan the holder. And Raymer's kick is good. So the Packers come away with 3 as we take another look at that Amon Green run on 2nd down. Did the Packers get a bad spot? They lead 3-0. The Green Bay Packers drove 83 yards, 13 plays. Brett Favre 4 of 6 for 75 yards, 3 big 3rd down receptions by Donald Driver. Bethel Johnson on the return for the Vikings. And Johnson brings it out to the 28-yard line. 28 yards on the return.
Amon Green taking a look at the photographs of the last play. But watch the spot here. It's actually a very good spot by the officials. Watch his left knee on the ground right here. And then watch where the ball is at. It's behind the line.
Well, good spot by the officials. Packers did not pick up the first down. They kicked the field goal and lead 3-0. And Brad Johnson goes down. He loses the football. And it's recovered by the Packers. Recovered by Corey Williams after the sack by Brady Papinga.
Corey Williams had 3 sacks last week. Watch the pressure up here. It starts with Aaron Campman coming around the corner. Inside, opens things up inside right there for Papinga, who comes free, untouched. Knocks the ball loose. Boy, Brad Johnson never had a chance with that ball. They hit him and the ball at the same time and popped that loose, and this defensive line is getting very active. Brad Johnson spent the week watching this defensive line, and then he got a front line look at it right there.
First sack of the season for Papinga. Williams the recovery. And the Packers take over on the Vikings 22. Amon Green, big burst up the middle. And is finally tackled after he picks up the first down. A gain of 10.
Well, Amon Green is finding his rhythm right here. Now, he's had 3 straight 100-plus yard running days. And this new zone blocking scheme, you say, you know, I'm on it. You like it. I mean, you missed all the training camp. You had some hamstring problems. He goes, but this is the offense I ran at Nebraska. Had to kind of dust off the memory bank a little bit, but it really suits his strengths best. He's patient and explosive, and this line features him.
1st and 10 from just inside the 12. Again, it's Green. Amon Green all the way down to the 2.
He said to us that when this offense is going well and I'm running good, safeties will make the tackles. And right now, the safeties are forced to make the tackles in the last 2 plays. Green Bay with a speed offense here, hurrying things up, trying to catch the Vikings off guard.
However, Favre is forced to call a timeout.
Green Bay.
Amon Green running hard, a 2nd and 1 for the Packers when we return.
Watch 65 for Green Bay. Mark Tauscher here on the cut block on Kevin Williams of the Vikings, number 93. That's the guy you got to get down to the ground. Those are 2 perfectly executed cut blocks. Allows Amon Green to cut back for this run down inside the 5.
2nd down and 1 following the timeout. Amon Green into the pile.
Mike McCarthy calls the plays for Green Bay, and he said that his whole focus is tempo. Get the play in, get in and out of the huddle as quickly as possible. Mike Tomlin, the defensive coordinator, trying to slow down this offense right now.
Two tight ends, 3rd down and 1. Here's Green. And will depend on the spot.
And they have to measure for this one. Nothing breaks down a defense quicker than if you can run the ball right at a defense, especially a defense that's ranked number 1 in the league against the run.
Here come the chains. Ball is resting on our yellow line, which is unofficial.
Packers had the ball inside the 5 twice last week against Buffalo, came away with no points.
Turns it over both times.
Green Bay put in this zone blocking scheme in training camp with Jeff Jagodzinski, the offensive coordinator, came from Atlanta, where he had great success leading the league in rushing 2 years in a row with the Falcons. And through the first half of the season, this offense has gotten better and better. They understand what they're doing now. It's very, very simple, but they're running it very well.
1st and goal. Amon Green split to the left. Favre pump fakes. Looking end zone. Now throws. Incomplete. Intended for Green.
Well, that was a play-action pass geared towards the tight end, but the tight ends got clogged at the line of scrimmage. Bubba Franks couldn't get off the line of scrimmage. Brett really didn't have an option outside of trying to throw the ball outside to Amon Green.
Amon Green out. 3 tight ends in. Branch, Martin, and Lee.
The guy that he's been going to now regularly is David Martin, his favorite target at tight end.
Noah Herron in the backfield behind William Henderson. Herron is hit for a loss. Pat Williams came through to wrap up Noah Herron.
But the negative plays will really hurt you on offense. And right now, Green Bay can run the ball all the way up into the 5-yard line, can't run it inside the 5. Pat Williams gets penetration there. He doesn't get cut blocked that time. If the Viking defensive line can stay on their feet, they can stop this running game. When they get cut and they're on the ground, they can't make the tackle.
For the Packers, they've run 5 plays inside the 5. They've gone backwards.
Probably time to throw it to Donald Driver here.
3rd and goal. Favre pump fakes, throws to Noah Herron, aiming for the end zone, and he is in for the touchdown.
That was a well-executed play. Really well executed. looked left, looked at Donald Driver, and then threw the swing route to Noah Herron. Got one-on-one with Dontarius Thomas on the outside and beat him to the flag.
The extra point is good. You saw Favre's reaction as he jumped into the arms of Herron. At the age of 37, does Brett still get as excited as any player in this league?
Yeah, because he's still having as much fun as any player in this league. And success will do that to you.
Brett Favre and the Packers drive 22 yards following the sack by Brady Papinga on Brad Johnson, forcing the turnover. And the Packers lead is now 10-0.
All Mike McCarthy preached all week long was turnovers, getting them and preventing them.
Ethel Johnson takes it out from the 1. Johnson running hard, upended at the 28-yard line by Will Blackman. A 27-yard return. Coming up, game 2 of our Fox doubleheader. Many of you will see the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New Orleans Saints, or the Rams and the Seahawks in Seattle. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. The pregame show traveled to Pittsburgh today.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, the two biggest surprises in the leagues are the Saints at 6-2, changing that culture, and then the Super Bowl world champs Steelers struggling where they are right now.
Number 28, Chester Taylor. Only the 5th play run by the Vikings today. Packers have run 22 plays on offense.
Well, the Vikings offense has just gone backwards. I mean, they've only scored 7 offensive touchdowns in 8 games, and they haven't scored now in, since the Seattle game when Chester Taylor went 95 yards, 9 quarters of football. So getting to the end zone has been very difficult, and Brad said we got to, we need big plays. We need our receivers to come up with the big catch.
2nd down and 8. Johnson gets rid of it as he was pressured by Aaron Campman, who helps Johnson off the turf. Campman leading the league in sacks.
Yeah, and Brad right there is struggling, and he's scrambling and trying to wait for somebody to uncover. There's nobody open on that play there. And today, the receivers of the Vikings are going to go up against press coverage. That means man-to-man coverage. Al Harris, Charles Woodson, they go man-to-man against the receivers all over the field, and they have to beat that man-to-man pressure. They have to get off the jam. They have to create separation, and so far, they haven't done that.
Brad Johnson 0 for 3. Welby Moore now in the backfield. 3rd down and 8 as Johnson's pass is caught. However, Travis Taylor about a yard shy of the marker.
Yeah, and the fans are letting him know about it because, really, I mean, you have to throw the ball so that either they're going to run with it afterwards and get the 1st down or run far enough for the 1st down. Travis Taylor just running a smash route right there, trying to beat that man-to-man pressure. That's what you call a man beater, where you try to crisscross the receivers. Vikings here going for it on 4th and looks like to be less than a yard. Dangerous play. Maybe they'll just try to draw them off sides here.
On their own 38-yard line, Vikings run the play. And again, it will depend on the spot.
Yeah, they're going to have, I think they're going to get this by the length of a football.
They did. Chester Taylor up the middle, and he picks up the 1st down. So gutsy call from Brad Childress, the first-year head coach here in the 1st quarter.
Well, desperate times calls for desperate measures. That was desperation in just trying to hang on to the football, try to get something going. And the fact is, if you've got a big offensive line like they do, give them a chance to go get that yard.
What message does that send to his team going for it?
Well, I think one of, we believe in.
Here's Taylor again. Takes it out to the 43-yard line. Gain of 4. A.J. Hawk made the tackle as we approach 1 minute remaining in the 1st quarter. And the Packers on the road leading the Vikings by 10.
A lot of people would look at the offensive line of the Vikings, and they've re-signed Brian McKinney to a big contract. They brought Steve Hutchinson in. Matt Burke is healthy. But really, they're almost all new pieces inside there, and Chester Taylor is new. So they're still trying to figure things out inside quite a bit.
Second down and 6. Here's Taylor again. Stopped about 2 yards shy of the marker. Michael Montgomery, the tackle, as we check in on the Redskins and the Eagles with Chris Rose. Chris?
Kenny, the Eagles 7-0 all-time after a bye under Andy Reid. And here, Dante Stallworth goes bye-bye to the Redskins secondary. 84 yards on this one for Donovan McNabb. His 17th TD toss leads the NFC, and they're up 10. Back to Kenny, Baldy, and the Glaze.
Looks like the big play is back in Philadelphia. A lot of teams in that NFC mired in a muck. Somebody's got to come out of it.
Third down and 2. Johnson out of the shotgun. Fires, and it's caught for a first down in Packers territory by Travis Taylor. Tackled at the Green Bay 40 by Marquand Manuel as the first quarter comes to an end. So the Vikings on the move, trailing by 10. Johnson sacked by Popenga. And it led to this touchdown. Favre to Noah Herron. 10-0 Packers. We start the second quarter here in Minneapolis. First and 10 from the Green Bay 40. Off the play fake. Johnson with time going deep to a wide open Billy McMullen. And McMullen has his first touchdown as a Minnesota Viking.
And the first touchdown in 10 quarters for the Vikings, breaking the ice. And who would have guessed Billy McMullen would be the guy? But somebody had to step up for this offense today. And what a breakdown in the secondaries by the Packers. Al Harris looks like he has him. He thinks he's in zone. He's passing him off to a safety, but there's no safety there. And the Packers have had miscommunication between safeties and corners throughout the season.
And now the former Packer, Green Bay's all-time leading scorer, Ryan Longwell, adds the extra point. Billy McMullen spent the last 3 years with the Eagles, acquired during training camp, pulls the Vikings within 3. Viking fans excited. First offensive touchdown since the Chester Taylor 95-yard run in the third quarter against Seattle. Vikings went 10 quarters without an offensive touchdown.
And that's also the last time that they won a football game as well.
Kickoff taken by Noah Herron. Sean Bodyford injured his knee on the opening kickoff, so it's Herron. Packers touchdown takes it out to the 31.
Watch the breakdown here. Here's Al Harris out here, one-on-one with Billy McMullen, but here's the safety. Somebody is wrong here in the coverage. Al Harris is playing zone. He's passing this receiver off to the safety, but the safety is biting on the tight end right here. And so there goes Billy McMullen for the touchdown. Now that happened last week against Buffalo for a big touchdown that broke the game open. It happened a lot during the beginning of this season. It happened too frequently now for the Packers to be a good defense.
Now the Packers start from their own 31 as Favre finds Henderson, and he gains 3. Props to Brad Childress, the Vikings head coach, for going for it on 4th and 1 earlier on that drive.
Bold move. But I think they had to do that. I mean, they've invested heavily in the offensive line here, you know, with Steve Hutchinson and Artis Hicks and paying Brian McKinney. And then you invest in Chester Taylor. You got to stay on the field for big plays to happen. If you keep going off for 3 plays, it's hard to get the big play.
Second down and 6. Amon Green. He's bottled up behind the line of scrimmage by Pat Williams. Loss of 1 on the play.
And there's Pat Williams at the bottom of there. He's the run stopper. No, I mean, Pat Williams stays on his feet, doesn't get cut. Here he is right here. He's the nose tackle. That's the Packers. They see he gets inside there. He gets that penetration. Penetration will break what Mike Tomlin, the defensive coordinator, called elephants on parade. That picket fence they like to build, penetration breaks that.
Third down and 7. Packers have to get to the 41. Favre out of the shotgun. Fires, and it's broken up by Griffin. Pass intended for Ruvell Martin, and Cedric Griffin starting today for Fred Smoot. Got a piece of it.
Ruvell Martin coming inside. This ball was thrown behind Martin. Cedric Griffin, the rookie starting in place of Fred Smoot today, had a chance for an interception. Lavelle Martin is a big target, but you want to put that ball out in front of him, and Brett was off on it.
John Ryan punting to Llewellyn Moore. Takes a Packers bounce and is down at the 18-yard line. 48-yard punt by Ryan. Fox's football coverage does not end when the games are over. Stick around for the OT. We'll get you up to date on the big BCS shakeup following this week's upsets. It's the OT following the late games right here on Fox.
Kenny, you live in New Jersey. Hats off to the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Big win on Thursday night.
Huge win over Louisville as Chester Taylor gains 2 out to the 20.
Chester Taylor is learning how to be a feature back. You know, when he was in Baltimore for 4 years, he was a backup to Jamal Lewis. And already in the first 8 games this season, he's touched the ball more than he ever has in any entire year. And so he's learning how to deal with it. This week he didn't practice on Wednesday. Body was beat up and sore. He's learning how to get on that massage routine, get in the ice bucket, just trying to keep himself fresh here for the second half of the season.
Second down and 8. It's Taylor again. Now remember what Brad Childress told us when Brad was with the Eagles as an assistant coach. They would play the Ravens in the preseason every year, and Chester Taylor would go whizzing down the sidelines, and Brad thought to himself, who is that guy?
Oh, he found out who he is. And, you know, I mean, Chester Taylor was a guy that the Cleveland Browns tried to sign last year. The Baltimore Ravens matched that offer, so he played another year for him. But he is. I mean, he's one of 4 guys in this league right now that lead their team in both receptions and in rushing. So he is a featured player here in the passing game as well.
3rd down and 6. Vikings need the 28-yard line. Off the play fake. Tony Richardson, the fullback, good second effort. And a long time Kansas City Chief picks up the Vikings first down.
Yeah, he's been a good mentor for Chester Taylor. I mean, he's been in the league for a dozen years now. And, you know, he's a big guy. And watch him. He bounces right off of Nick Barnett there. You know, if Barnett brings him down there, the Packers are short of a first down.
Instead, Richardson gains 13.
Yeah, you know, and in the recipe for any offense that is struggling, and the Vikings were struggling coming in today, is guys making plays. I mean, that's a play right there. 3rd down, get hit there, you bounce off it, you pick up the first down, and the offense stays on schedule. They stay on the field.
Johnson has completed his last 4 after starting the game 0 for 3. From the 36, Bethel Johnson pulls it in. What a catch!
There's a play. That's a play right there. Bethel Johnson, a one-handed grab. They needed better play from their wide receivers coming in today, in fact, for the rest of the season. He just gets one step. Didn't come through training camp with the Vikings. A late pickup here. That's a beautiful catch. With Marcus Robinson down with a bad back, somebody had to step up for the Vikings receiving corps already. Billy McMullen with a touchdown catch, and now a beautiful catch by Bethel Johnson.
35-yard pass play. 1st and 10 from the Packers 29 as Johnson hits Richardson again. And Richardson gains 4. As we check in once again with Chris Rose in Los Angeles. Chris?
All right, Kenny, in Tennessee, it's Steve McNair's homecoming, but Vince Young's playmaking grabbing center stage. Look at this. I'll pitch it to you, Boskake. You take it and run with it, big boy. He's in, and the Titans lead the Ravens 19-7. Back to Kenny, Baldy, and the Glaze.
Well, Vince Young taking a page out of Brett Favre. We've seen him do that going down. Just flip it out there. Let somebody do something with it.
Doing it against Steve McNair, who faces the Titans for the first time. Here's Chester Taylor. And Taylor found a hole and picks up a first down.
Chester Taylor already this year. A little sample of what he's done here.
And on the count of 3, go, 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 go. And on the count of 3, go, 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 go.
Had to learn a completely new offense here with Brad Childress, the West Coast offense. They really feature him in the passing game, but they're a left-handed team. When they're going well, they like running behind Bryant McKinney and Steve Hutchinson on the left side.
From the Packers 16. Taylor. And he ran into the arms of Nick Barnett after a 4-yard pickup. Only Tiki Barber, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Larry Johnson have gained more yards on the ground this season than Chester Taylor.
Good guy, Chester Taylor, too. You know, I mean, he got a big contract here with the Vikings, and one thing he always wanted to do, you know, was build a house for his mother. And he's from Detroit, raised in Detroit. 3 brothers, 2 sisters. He built a home for his mother down in Houston, where she's watching today. Very proud of the fact that he was able to do that.
Second down and 6. Johnson backpedaling. It's Richardson. And Richardson fails to get back to the line of scrimmage. Corey Williams chased him down, a loss of 3 yards on the play.
Right now, the Vikings are doing a good job of mixing things up. You're running Chester Taylor. You're moving Brad Johnson in the pocket. You're moving him out on some bootlegs right now. Little screen action. Lord knows Brad Childress has enough plays on that menu. In fact, he's got the biggest menu I've seen in the league. He's got a couple extra flaps that can fold out when things really get trouble. Right now, the offense is working so that he's got those flaps hidden.
Where did she get that thing printed?
Keeping Pips in business.
We're down to 9. Johnson fires, and the catch is made by Taylor. He lost the football. Falling on it is McMullen.
Well, this offense has awakened, and it's led by Brad Johnson, who did a great job in the pocket of avoiding pressure and waiting for Travis Taylor to come open. Watch Brad Johnson. He'll feel the pressure, never takes his eyes off down the field, looks for that opening. Chester Taylor there, trying to get in for a touchdown, and Billy McMullen, the hero so far in the first half for the Vikings, with the 2nd touchdown of the day.
He had 1 career touchdown in 4 seasons coming into this game. Last year as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Great hit by A.J. Hawk, but Billy McMullen following the play up. Johnny on the spot.
So the Vikings, who had gone 10 quarters without an offensive touchdown, have scored twice here in the 2nd quarter. And they lead by 4. Billy McMullen with his 2nd touchdown this quarter.
Yeah, you know, and Billy McMullen only gets on the field when the Vikings go 4 wide receivers. He's the 4th wide receiver, but when you have 2 touchdowns in a quarter after the drought they've had, maybe you should find better ways to get him on the field or more frequently.
He was in the right place at the right time as Chester Taylor fumbled just shy of the goal line. McMullen fell on it for the touchdown. So the Vikings, who fell behind 10-0, now lead 14-10. Noah Herron from the 1. And Herron takes it out across the 20. Will Hunter made the tackle, 22 yards on the return. Brad Johnson now 8 for his last 8. Vikings by 4. Billy McMullen scored a touchdown for the Eagles last December in Arizona. That was it over his first 37 NFL games. He has 2 in a 7-minute stretch today.
Brad, of course, coached him in Philadelphia. He was traded for by a free agent. Hank Baskett went to Philadelphia. Billy McMullen came here to Minnesota. And they're thankful they have him now in the 2nd quarter.
Now the Packers trailing for the first time today, starting from their own 23-yard line. Amon Green gaining 5 out to the 28.
You know, part of this zone blocking scheme of Green Bay is they don't pull any linemen. You know, the old Packer sweep with Lombardi, you know, you get the Kramer and Thurston, you get those guys out leading the sweep. They don't do that here. Everything is blocking to the guy next to you, blocking areas. And so you rarely ever see Amon Green running outside to the edge. Most of the runs go in between the tackles.
Two tight ends in the game, 2nd down and 5. Favre to David Martin. And And Martin picks up a first down, takes it out to the 38-yard line before he was tackled by Dontarius Thomas, a gain of 11.
Packers have a lot of tight ends, and of course the guy that's always been featured here for the last 8 or 9 years has been Bubba Franks, and he doesn't really get a chance to catch that many passes right now. David Martin does that. He was a receiver at Tennessee, kind of grew into his big body now as a tight end. Bubba Franks, though, is very important and instrumental in the run game. Very good blocker and very good pass blocker as well.
Bubba Franks without a reception the last 2 games. Greg Jennings in motion. First down from the 38-yard line. Off the play fake. Favre going deep. And he overthrows Jennings.
I was watching the Vikings at practice on Friday, and all they kept talking about was code red. And code red is when Brett Favre wants to go downtown. That time he was going for Jennings, and they said, look, watch off play action fake. He wants to go the deep ball. And they're saying that code red is like they start screaming it to all the defensive backs there. Here it comes. Get ready for it. And so they're alert to all the deep passes, the double moves, the pump fakes, all the things that Favre can do to try to hit a home run.
Now 2nd and 10. Ruvel Martin in motion. Lined up in the slot. Amon Green. Not much. Gain of 1 again. Pat Williams makes the tackle. So a 3rd down and 9 coming up for the Packers, who led 10-0. But the Vikings have come back with 2 second-quarter touchdowns to take a 4-point lead. Last year in the game here at the Metrodome, the Packers led at the half 17-0. Minnesota won on a last-second field goal.
Well, the guy that's been quiet right now the last couple of series is Donald Driver, who's in the slot right now, working against Antoine Winfield right here.
Bubba Franks shifting. Packers have to get to the 48. Favre off the fingertips of Ruvel Martin, the intended receiver.
I asked Brett about some of these receivers we haven't heard much about, guys like Sean Boterford and Ruvel Martin. I asked him what he thought of Martin. He said, well, he caught a slant pass in practice the other day. That was good. Dropped one there, though. Brett really likes to go to guys that he really trusts, and he hasn't gotten the trust from those young guys.
Packers have lost Robert Ferguson. Corin Robinson suspended. Weldy Moore takes it back to the 14, and a flag comes in.
Been pretty much a flag-free game so far today. Not many penalties called. Only the 2nd penalty all day.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team, number 27. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
That's on Roniel Whitaker. So it will force the Vikings back inside the 6-yard line. Coming up, the Saints and the Steelers. Game 2 of our Fox doubleheader. Sean Payton, one of 7 rookie head coaches. 2 are here today, Brad Childress and Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, and right now you'd say that Sean Payton has gotten off to the best start, that 6-2 start. Certainly Drew Brees has been a big part of that. Talked about Drew Brees today in the pregame show with Terry Bradshaw. There you go. Mike McCarthy right now coming from New Orleans, where he was the offensive coordinator a couple of years ago, then San Francisco. Then here originally the quarterback coach here in Green Bay back in 1999.
Mike celebrated a birthday on Friday. He turned 43. The only 2 head coaches younger than McCarthy are on this list. Eric Mangini, 35. Sean Payton, 42.
Mike McCarthy has an interesting thing that he does. He doesn't allow any practice for 48 hours before the game. The last time they practiced was Friday at noon, and then he said doesn't have any meetings 24 hours before the game. He wants the guys physically fresh and mentally fresh. Get to work in during the week and come out here on game day and let it go.
I know you did not abide by those same rules on a football weekend. You're still working past midnight last night.
But I've never heard of those rules before. I mean, most coaches are trying to cram in practices and meetings and making sure everybody knows exactly what they're doing in every play. And Mike McCarthy says, we'll work hard during the week, and then we'll let it kind of rest, and then come out here and hit the field running.
Some confusion amongst the officials after the ball was marched down to the 6 following that penalty on the punt, but now It's spotted on the 15-yard line. Worst starting field position of the day for the Vikings, who have scored touchdowns on their last 2 possessions. Here's Taylor, and he's bottled up by Kabir Biamila. Loss of 1 on the play. As we send it to Los Angeles once again, and Chris Rose. Chris?
Guys, I understand Andy Reid put this in the last 48 hours before the game. Donovan McNabb to Reggie Brown to Terrell Buckhalter. That's a fumble recovery and a touchdown for the Eagles. They're up 17-zip on the Redskins. See, you can accomplish something in the last 48 hours before the game, Kenny.
Yeah, Chris, it also was the bye week where Andy Reid, coming off of that bye, is a perfect 7-0.
Now on 2nd down and 11, here's Taylor. And this time he's brought down by the former Ram, Ryan Pickett, after a gain of just 1.
You know, the Green Bay Packers are one of the youngest teams in the league, and one of those young players is the rookie A.J. Hawk. I mean, he never comes off the field on defense. I mean, with 3rd down and long, he's always out there, and he loves the game of football. He's passionate. I mean, he comes out of Ohio State, and talking about Michigan, Ohio State coming up this week at the Horseshoe in Columbus and getting ready for that game, but never takes a break. Always lifting weights every single day. Got a hyperbaric chamber inside his house, trying to get him some good recovery. Now he looks like he's going to blitz on his play.
3rd down and 10. And the catch is made by Bethel Johnson. His 2nd long reception of this 2nd quarter. There's a flag back at the 20-yard line. And the Packers indicating it's a hold against the Vikings.
Holding defense, number 31. Penalties decline. 1st down.
Well, it's on Al Harris of Green Bay, so a 36-yard pass play from Brad Johnson to Bethel Johnson.
Yeah, you know, and these Viking receivers are stepping up today. You know, they're all former #1 draft picks. And so here, Bethel Johnson working on the outside. See, he's got great speed. I mean, the New England Patriots had drafted him out of Texas A&M for his speed. Good returner, but there you see it. 1-on-1, and Brad Johnson can't throw the ball any better.
Johnson has completed his last 9. Chester Taylor. And Taylor down to the 41, gain of 4. Colin Cole, a former Viking, made the tackle. So a 2nd and 6 coming up for the Vikings.
See, well, I think what the Vikings have done here today, they've done some things with formations. When they put 3 receivers or more on the field, the Packers have to put out a young player in Patrick Dendy, and they've worked against him a couple of times.
Look at some of Chester Taylor's favorites. His former teammate Ray Lewis on the cover of Sports Illustrated this week. And off to Richardson, a flag, as the veteran fullback gains a yard.
Offense, number 72. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
This time it's against the Vikings. It's the right tackle, Marcus Johnson.
Vikings have done a pretty good job today of eliminating penalties, which have hurt them during this touchdown drought they've incurred over the last couple of weeks. Here's Marcus Johnson at right tackle. He's going to be going up against Aaron Campman. And Campman's quickness right there beat him inside, and that's usually when offensive linemen do hold, when they're beat, when their feet aren't moving, and you've got to hold them or grab them in order to slow them down, and that's what Marcus Johnson did there.
Going up against Campman, who actually signed an offer sheet with the Vikings 2 seasons ago. Packers matched. 2nd down and 16. Dropped by the tight end Wiggins.
Yeah, you're talking about Aaron Campman. He was, after his 3rd year last year, the Vikings came after him, signed him to an offer sheet. He was actually still working out in Green Bay, and the Packers had a week to match that offer. He said he didn't know, you know, football is business. He heard about the business part of this thing, and wife had gone online looking for homes, looking for an area to live. He was ready to go if he had to, but they have re-upped Aaron Campman right now, and rightfully so. Every year his sack totals have gone up to the point right now where he leads this league, and no Packer has ever led the league in sacks.
A rising star. 3rd down and 16. Johnson pump fakes, now dumps it off, but Brady Papinga read the play. Was there to make the tackle on Mewaldy Moore, so now the Vikings will punt it away.
You know, and the Vikings there with Brad Johnson just playing it safe, not trying to force any any balls down the field. Their problem on offense has been penalties and turnovers this year. Didn't want to compound any of that with a 3rd and long. You know what, the defense is playing good right now. Put your defense back out there on the field.
Louis will punt for the second time as we approach the 2-minute warning. And the Vikings will let the clock run all the way down. When we return, a Vikings punt. They lead the Packers 14-10 with 2 minutes remaining in the first half. Stay tuned for the Visa Halftime Report with Kurt Menefee, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy. They will bring you scores and highlights and the Fox Sports ticker with up to the second stats. That's coming up from Pittsburgh on the Visa Halftime Report. 2 minutes remaining in the first half. Kluwe back at his own 37. Movement prior to the snap.
All kinds of upsets yesterday in college football, and through the first half of today's games, a lot of upsets going on. Tennessee beating Baltimore in the first half. Cleveland shutting out the Falcons. Miami beating Kansas City, shutting them out.
False start, offense, number 51. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Tennessee not only beating Baltimore, but putting up 26 points in the first half.
Favre getting ready for his favorite part of a football game, the 2-minute drill.
He and Darren Sharper used to go at it in practice during the 2-minute drill.
Yeah, they said it used to make each other better, very competitive amongst one another.
Kluwe punting from the 35 to Charles Woodson. Woodson lets it bounce, and it stays out of the end zone. It is down by Rod Davis. The long snapper getting all the way downfield, and the Packers are pinned inside the 3-yard line.
And that field position that the Vikings special teams just gave Green Bay will really affect the play calling here. I mean, you would love to, Green Bay would love to come out and throw some screens and draws and kind of get some movement here, but right here you got to be very careful with the football. Last week, Brett Favre threw an interception at his own 5-yard line, got returned for a touchdown, really influenced that game. And Darren Sharper right now on the Minnesota side of the defense is thinking about the same thing. He watched the play on film this week. Here's Darren Sharper here. He'll have his eyes on Favre the whole time.
Packers start from their own 3. Favre out of the end zone, and the pass is caught by Greg Jennings for a first down.
There was no conservative play calling there. He let that one rip.
Packers with 2 timeouts remaining.
Brett loves this drill. He rehearses at full speed every Thursday.
On Green out to the 18, gain of 3.
Darren Sharper said that he knows all of Brett Favre's signals. You know, all the signals that he'll do at the line of scrimmage, telling wide receivers where to line up. He also knows the signals that he gets from the sideline, so he'll be looking at the sideline, seeing if he can pick something up.
Second down and 7, 3 wide receivers. Favre over the middle to Driver. Donald Driver breaks 3. Inside the 30. Into the end zone for the touchdown, 82 yards.
Brett's going 82 yards too. That is some lethal combination between those two. He runs 82 yards and he's gonna give him the fireman's carry off the field. Some first half for Donald Driver.
The 5th longest pass of Brett Favre's illustrious career. 3 of the top 5 have gone to Driver. The Packers back on top by 3.
Take a look at Darren Sharper here eyeing Brett Favre down on this play. Looking right at him, thinking, never takes his eyes off him. And look, the other way, he's looking at Favre frozen on him. Here comes Donald Driver from the other direction. Never felt Donald Driver or saw him. And that's what can happen if you're glued into the quarterback and not seeing the whole field. Donald Driver working against the rookie Cedric Griffin in there for Fred Smoot today. Well, he hummed that one. And you know, Donald Driver, what you do when you split the safeties like that, you take it right down the middle of the field. Not let anybody get an angle on you.
A 3-play, 97-yard drive for the Packers.
So much. Brett high on his toes right there. That might be the fastest he's run here for a long time.
That sprint reminiscent of the Super Bowl during the Super Bowl victory over New England. The only difference is he kept his helmet on this time.
Yeah, well, you know, he said he hates domes, but he won his only Super Bowl in the dome.
Bethel Johnson does not come out of the end zone. In case you're wondering, Favre's longest career pass, as we check out Driver's numbers today, he threw a 99-yard touchdown pass to Robert Brooks in Chicago back in '95. You were once involved in a 99-yard run.
Right here in Minnesota, Dorsett's longest run in NFL history. But, you know, after you throw a play like that, you want to go back and look at the pictures and almost kind of relive it here. Think maybe we can get them again on that type of play. No oxygen for Brett Favre after all that activity.
Here's Moelby Moore, and he's hit for a loss by Nick Barnett. And the crowd reacts to the conservative nature of the play call with 42 seconds remaining in the first half. Timeout called by the Vikings. Well, we talked about the turnovers last week. Packers turned the ball over 4 times. In the 3 wins, Favre has not thrown an interception. 7 picks in the 5 losses.
Yeah, you know, and the head coach, Mike McCarthy, said, look, we can't preach turnovers and taking care of the football any more than we do. We know that when we eliminated them, we're a young, good, improving football team. And today they've eliminated them. And the results are there. I mean, 17 first-half points. A good first half of football.
Correction, that timeout was called by the Packers, not the Vikings. Vikings keep it on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, the Viking fans right now see them, the Vikings, as being conservative here when they just saw Favre as aggressive as he can at his own 3-yard line and scoring in 3 plays. And so if you score as quickly as they just did, you'd love to get the ball back to Favre one more chance.
Packers use their final timeout. Favre with 2 touchdown passes in the first half. Now 409 in his career. 30 have gone to Donald Driver.
You know, we were talking about how Darren Sharper was really keyed in on Favre on that play, and you know, he'd like to get an interception. Favre said, everybody wants me. Everybody wants the interception off me. They take that ball and tell their kids and their grandkids about it someday.
Sharper got one from Tom Brady 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, he said he wants to get him from many Hall of Famers as he possibly can.
Moelby Moore picks up the first down. Well, the Packers used a couple of timeouts to stop the clock, and now Moore gains 15, and the Vikings will now use a timeout.
Well, yeah, they got to play. They got into better field position here. You know, they've got Ryan Longwell, the field goal kicker that for a long time was a Green Bay Packer. He's been very good here in the Dome this year, and so they would love to be able to create some field position to have a chance to tie this game up here before the end of the first half.
His career long is a 54-yarder.
Well, they need to go about 30 yards for that possibility to take place. And so they've still got 2 timeouts left. The wide receivers have been active for the Vikings in the first half today. And so you got to think that they've got to take a chance on the outside. They got their 4 wide receiver package. The star here today is Billy McMullen, the middle guy with 3 wide receivers.
From the 35, Johnson out of the shotgun. Down he goes. Cullen Jenkins with the sack of Brad Johnson back at the 25-yard line. Jenkins' third sack of the season, a loss of 9.
Yeah, they're going to say, we're going to take it into the tunnel, go talk about it for the half, not going to try anything more. Cullen Jenkins beat Steve Hutchinson on that play clean, one-on-one for the sack.
The brother of Chris Jenkins, star defensive lineman with the Carolina Panthers. And he was your fantasy pick on the pregame show.
Well, I mean, he's Brett's favorite target, so you know Brett wants to throw it, and that's the guy he wants to look for.
Bethel Johnson taking the second half kickoff out of the end zone. There is a flag. Johnson still on his feet. Bethel Johnson inside the 40. One man to beat. It's the kicker, Rayner. And Johnson takes it in, but keep in mind there is a flag back at the 13-yard line.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team, number 2. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
That's against Artus Penner, so it erases a 102-yard return by Bethel Johnson.
Well, that's the type of play you want to start a second half with. Just change the whole complexion of the game. Bethel Johnson has been a big-time returner in his business. For the second time in 2 weeks, the Vikings have had a touchdown taken back because of a penalty. Here it is there. Brad Childress had the same problem with the call last week, where a guy starts with his hands in front of a player, and then at the end of the play, he's got his hands in his back. And by rule and by definition, that shouldn't be a penalty.
So instead of a 102-yard return, it's 1st and 10 from the 7. Chester Taylor. Big run on first down. Gain of 10. Marquand Manuel made the tackle. Chester Taylor picks up a first. Taylor in the first half, 12 carries, 38 yards. Brad Johnson was 10 of 14 after starting the game 0 for 3.
Yeah, went for a streak of 8 straight completions in a row. It's the third quarter. You want to try to establish the line of scrimmage. Getting the running game going is a great way to do that.
From the 17, this is Taylor again. Picks up 2. Out to the 19-yard line. Nick Barnett made the tackle as we take a look at the first half numbers.
Well, it was really a great day for both offenses in the first half. Both of them came alive in the passing game. You see where that is right now. Both quarterbacks getting the ball to their wide receivers, and that's opened the game up.
The only turnover of the game led to a Green Bay touchdown. Favre with 2 first-half touchdown passes, one to Driver, the other to Noah Herron.
And if you had Donald Driver, you're smiling at halftime of this game.
As you did.
Yeah.
Second down and 8. Play action. Johnson with time, and it is nearly picked off by Charles Woodson.
Watch this. I mean, Brad Johnson gets protection here. One guy you got to block is Aaron Campman right here, and they double team him this time. See, Chester Taylor comes over, and he helps out Marcus Johnson. You got to have a game plan for a guy that leads this league in sacks, and Charles Woodson had a great chance for an interception there. You know, in the Super Bowl about 5 years ago, when Brad Johnson was quarterback in Tampa Bay, he went after Charles Woodson 2 times for touchdowns in that game. Threw the ball to Keenan McCardell for 2 touchdowns.
They're down at 8. Johnson to Travis Taylor. And a flag. A late flag as Taylor picks up the first down. Did he take a late hit out of bounds?
I think it was an illegal pick. Allowed Travis Taylor to get
Pass
open.
interference, offense, number 89. 10-yard penalty, third down.
That's on Taylor. You can't believe it.
Well, we'll take a really hard to have offensive pass interference in that type of play that he catches the ball on. There's the pick right there, and that would have been on Troy Williamson, not Travis Taylor. But regardless, it's a costly penalty.
The penalty's killing the Vikings here in the second half. The penalty on the second half kickoff, which wiped out a touchdown return. So instead of a first down, it's now 3rd and 19. Vikings have to get to the 27 for a first down. Johnson dumps it off for Weldy Moore, and he's tackled by Patrick Dendy. Well shy of a first, so the Vikings will punt, and we send it downstairs to Jay Glazer. Jay?
Well, Kenny, this is exactly where Mike McCarthy thinks will make the difference in the second half of this game. In talking to him at halftime, he said, look, offense and defensively, we're pretty much going to equal each other out. Special teams, we have really got to step it up, and that's where we've got to kick their butts. And by the way, the Packers players all walking up the tunnel, all saying the same stuff. We've got to stop giving up stupid things. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Jay. Charles Woodson takes it out to 34. Penalty flags, at least 3 flags thrown as Woodson returns it to the Vikings 43.
You can't have 3 flags in a closer area, all coming from different directions.
The flags are in a bunch formation.
Well, I think it's an isosceles triangle they all landed in.
During return, illegal block in the back, receiving team, number 59. 10-yard penalty, first down. There's no foul for running into the kicker. Number 20 of the kicking team pushed the defender into the kicker. Timeout.
Good explanation by Terry McCauley. Tracy White, the guilty Packer. So the Packers will start from their own 30-yard line when we return to Minneapolis.
Brad Childress talking to the officials about the penalty on the kickoff return that nullified a touchdown by Bethel Johnson.
Now the Packers start from their own 30-yard line. Kadechi Udeza makes the tackle. Loss of 3 on the play.
Well, here's the penalty here by Artos Penner, who's going to be blocking on this play. And that's what you're looking at right there. And really, the hands were on the body. It wasn't really a push from the back, but the angle that the official threw the flag on, that's probably what he saw.
Penner, the former Detroit Lion. Empty backfield for the Packers. 2nd down and 13. From the shotgun, Favre got rid of it, and Bubba Franks with his first catch the last 3 games for a gain of 4. Montarius Thomas made the tackle, so a 3rd down and 9 upcoming.
This isn't a good feeling for Brett Favre with an end barreling down on him unblocked. Watch this coming right off the edge here. Nobody blocked. Dead's on the outside. But sometimes you don't block him. That's what you call a hot read. You see the blitz coming, you throw it to the guy short, he turns his head around, you throw it to him, and you beat the blitz like that.
3rd down and 9. Packers have to get to the 40. Frank shifting. Favre to Ruvell Martin. And Martin has a first down. His 2nd catch today, a gain of 13 yards.
One guy that isn't catching the ball is Bubba Franks. And part of the reason why he's not involved is because he's involved in pass protection. And they have a Fox protection that uses Bubba Franks. In that last play, he was really instrumental. Kind of just sitting in the middle here and wadding everything up. They haven't sacked Brett Favre today, and it was instrumental that they helped out the 2 rookie guards today inside against a good pass rush of the Vikings.
Green the lone back, driver in motion. 1st and 10 from the 45. Lamont Green. Green gaining 2. And Williams made the tackle. 2nd and 8, but first, we check in once again with Jay Glazer. Jay?
Well, guys, I talked to Brad Childress at halftime as well, and I said, hey, Donald Driver, Brett Favre, obviously they've been a problem in the first half. What do you do to change it up? He said, well, first of all, we got caught in some one-on-ones. We can't get caught in those. But number 2, we've got to get to Favre up front. We can't cover all day back there on Donald Driver. We've got to get some pressure up front on number 4. Back to you.
And as Brian mentioned, no sacks of Favre so far today. 2nd down and 8. Empty backfield again. Favre fires incomplete.
Brett's saying that ball got tipped. He was thrown to Donald Driver on the last play, and the Vikings really had a soft coverage against him. They were playing zone against him. There's the rookie Cedric Griffin with the deep safety Dwight Smith. He was throwing that ball right into a soft area of the zone, which was, you'd think that a guy like Donald Driver, like Jay said, that's hurting you, you'd get a body on him, try to beat him up at the line of scrimmage, not let him get a free release.
4 receivers set. Packers have to get to the Vikings 45. The slant incomplete. Favre was looking for Ruvel Martin.
Ruvel Martin can't get his head around or his hands up quick enough when that ball is coming out hot. Watch this, he's a little slow. Look at it, he's just trying to get off the jam. That ball's in the air. I tell you, if you're not ready to catch that ball, it'll do just that. It'll just buzz the top of your head. Favre's going to go over and find him and say, look, if you want the ball, get ready for it.
Good kick by Ryan. He put a little too much on it through the end zone. 53-yard punt, but a net of just 33.
Those are not part of the Viking coaching staff. But, you know, when a Viking offense is struggling, everybody thinks they've got the answer. So they got their headsets, they got their play charts. See if they can help this Viking offense move the ball here in the third quarter.
Well, Richard Dixon used to send plays into George Allen, right?
Did he? Oh, yeah, dial it up. Here's A.J. Hawk coming on a blitz.
Johnson goes down back at the 10-yard line.
There's a good blitz by the 5th pick in last year's draft, A.J. Hawk. Getting Brad Johnson down for the 3rd time today. Well, that's easy. They got a double team there of Richardson and Chester Taylor. He went right through them, both of them, split 2 of them. You know, and most rookies by the halfway point of the season, they had 4 preseason games, 8 regular season games. They call it hitting the wall. A.J. Hawk, who played 14 games at Ohio State last year, said he feels fresh. Doesn't feel like there's any wall at all in front of him.
2nd and 20. Taylor takes it out to the 14 for a gain of 4. As you mentioned, Brian, the 5th overall pick. We take you up close and personal with the future brother-in-law of Notre Dame quarterback Brady Quinn.
Yeah, his fiancée is Brady's sister Laura. They're scheduled to get married next St. Patrick's Day.
He sacked Brady Quinn twice in the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, he's getting married on St. Patrick's Day next year. And gotten to know him quite well here since last year's Fiesta Bowl.
Johnson on 3rd and 16, complete to Travis Taylor, but a nice tackle by Marquand Manuel. And the Vikings forced to punt.
Good series for the Packers defense there. And it was started with that negative play. The sack of Brad Johnson on 1st down really kind of put them in the hole. Maybe those fans got to come back with some more plays for Brad Childress right there. That wasn't a good series.
Remember what A.J. Hawk told us yesterday? He said when he would speak with Packers fans in training camp, their first message, beat the Vikings.
Yeah. Well, you know about these rivalry games.
Charles Woodson stays in bounds. Tackled at the 43. It's a rivalry, one of the best in the NFL, and it's the Packers by 3. Brad Childress with ties to the state of Wisconsin, longtime assistant coach for the Badgers.
Yeah, and grew up in Aurora, Illinois, a big Bear fan growing up.
Packers start from their own 43 following the punt, leading by 3. Favre firing just out of the reach of the tight end, David Martin.
Favre has been well protected today, and that was a big concern coming in. Was could those 2 rookie guards, Jason Spitz at right guard and Darren College at left guard, could he hold up against a guy like Kevin Williams on the Minnesota Viking offensive line? And so far today, I mean, Brett Favre hasn't been hit that much. He's had time to throw the ball. You'd have to say those young guys are getting better. Scott Wells just re-signed this week for a couple more years at center, doing a good job in the middle.
2nd and 10, Ahman Green. Only 8 yards on his previous 8 carries, and he gains nothing there. Pat Williams in on the tackle. You talk about the protection of Favre this season. This is game number 9. He has been sacked 11 times all season.
Yeah, you know, the thing about that is he's thrown the ball through the first 8 games more than he ever has in his whole life. He's on pace right now to throw it more times than in his entire career. You got to think, right, here's Donald Driver, his go-to guy in the slot, with nobody on top of him.
They're down in 10. Packers have to get to the Vikings 47. Favre pump fakes, throws, and the catch is made by the rookie Greg Jennings. The lateral to Donald Driver. Driver down the sidelines, finally tackled at the 15, and a flag comes in as well.
What a play by Favre. Woo, woo. Well, he can't believe it. Well, he got that ball off just in time over the middle. I don't think he ever saw Greg Jennings before he flipped it.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, grasping the helmet opening on the tackle, half the distance to the goal, first down.
Boy, a couple of great plays by a couple of guys here. I mean, first of all, Jennings with the catch. And now, boy, he's in hip position right there with Donald Driver. Looked like it was a real lateral that went backwards. You know what? Donald Driver's been the playmaker. Give it to him again. Now, was Greg Jennings down when he flipped the ball?
Brad Childress is going to challenge.
Yeah. Did his knee hit the ground before he got the ball out of his hands?
Minnesota has challenged the ruling on the field that the player was not down and it was a backward pass.
His knee was not down.
Timeout.
Yeah. No.
Well, they're challenging whether it was a backwards pass or not. Keep in mind, Packers opponents 0 for their last 10 on challenges. Brad Childress challenging whether it was a backward lateral. The officials can also look to see if Jennings' knee was down. We do not think it was, and it also looks like the lateral was backwards.
Yeah, I mean, Greg Jennings.
After review, the runner released the ball prior to his knee being down, and the pass was backward. The ruling on the field stands. Minnesota is charged with their first team timeout.
So in all, the Packers gained 50 yards. Jennings gained 12. Driver picked up 30 more, and then the penalty adds on 8.
You know, Brett Favre told us that Greg Jennings, when he plays a game, it's easy. The game is easy to him. You just don't see rookies catching the ball there on a 3rd down like that, and then just having the awareness to be able to flip it to Donald Driver like that, to have the confidence to give it to him. But the guy is a very mature kid. He's fitting well. He's looked like a pro from day one here. He's got very good hands, and as we've seen there, great football awareness.
Well, what does it set up? A 1st and goal on the Vikings 7. Off the play fake. Favre pump fakes, hits William Henderson, but he's hit by Ben Lever and loses a yard on the play.
Well, I think the whole key to Brett Favre today and having a great day, no turnovers with the football, no interceptions, no fumbles, very few penalties, is he's been protected as well as he has all year so far. Vikings have done very little blitzing coming after him. This would be a good play to do it on.
2nd and goal from the 8. Frank shifting. Amon Green up the middle down to the 5 before he was tackled by Antoine Winfield.
Well, I see a couple of receivers coming in right now. Jennings coming in again with Revell Martin. Revell Martin is a guy that's 6'5". He's a big target, pretty sure-handed guy. So you've got a bunch of receivers out there, 3 wide receivers along with David Martin.
Third and goal.
Favre with 2 touchdown passes so far today.
Driver in the slot. Jennings split to the left. Revell Martin to the right. Green the lone back. Shovel pass. Williams read it. Kevin Williams with the hard hit on Amon Green.
Well, they try to sucker punch him. You know, they spread him out there, and they try to flip the old shovel pass to him, and that is a pass incomplete here. And Kevin Williams read it perfectly. A monster hit on Amon Green. Never had possession. Incomplete pass.
And the right tackle, Mark Tauscher, is shaken up.
Tauscher, a real staple here in this offensive line from the University of Wisconsin. Him and Chad Clifton been anchoring those tackle positions and protecting Brett for a long time now. I think Brett's probably thinking, okay, shovel pass, not a bad call down there at the 5-yard line. It's hit or miss, but you'd love to take a shot into the end zone. Tauscher's a tough guy, too. He can play guard, he can play tackle. Really adjusted well to the new run blocking scheme.
Dave Rayner, who hit from 20 earlier to open the score, got to attempt a 24-yard field goal. Rayner got the bounce off the left upright and over. Tauscher heads off. The Packers lead is now 6.
Somehow when a player's injured, he shouldn't have to climb steps to go get looked at.
Excellent point. Well, a feud that has been right down the middle. 89 regular season meetings. Each team with 44 wins, 1 tie.
Can't get any more even than that.
Bethel Johnson on a return for the Vikings. Johnson tackled at the 27 by Noah Herron. 25-yard return. Well, Tuesday at 9, 8 Central, watch the Emmy Award-winning smash hit House. All new at its new time, Tuesday at 9, 8 Central, right here on Fox. Viewer discretion is advised.
And I think viewer discretion can be advised sometimes watching these football games too. Just the number of hits that you see, the contact, and right there. I mean, the offensive coordinators, I think they've got the plays for Brad Johnson to get this offense on track.
In fact, on the play sheet to the left, it said hand the ball off to Taylor, and that is what the Vikings just did on that first down play.
Yeah, but watch this. I mean, look at this play right here, Kenny. I mean, you got right here. You got 8 offensive players against 5 defensive players. I mean, that's the advantage you get. I mean, if you're throwing your plays up, you at least got to put 11 guys on the field. You know, so everybody wants to be the offensive coordinator. They don't even know how many players on each side of the ball.
But they have the hat, they have the shirt, and they have the mustaches.
Yeah, but they can't count right.
There's Billy McMullen making the catch. He has both Vikings touchdowns today. And he stopped about a yard shy of the marker.
Now they got everything down. I mean, they got the hat, they got the headphone, and then, you know, they always cover up their mouth. They don't want anybody to see the signals in the plays. They're reading their lips, you know. And
they also have somebody calling in to tell them that they're on television.
See? Yeah. Well, yeah, they have the cell phone now. It's got everybody connected. Yeah, I mean, I would throw those play charts out. I mean, if you can't count 11 on 11, then you can't draw the plays out.
We're down at 1. Pass batted. It was intended for Troy Williamson, who does not have a catch today. The guy on the right even looked like Brad Childress.
A little bit. Could be a little body double out there. Wonder if they checked his credential to get into the stadium today.
Where do you think you purchased those headsets?
Well, do you think that that's a Brad Childress mustache that he bought too, or do you think that's his?
Oh, absolutely not his. That mustache is real.
Yeah. And those comments from Brad Childress are real too. That's frustration.
I think we need to send Jay Glazer into the stands to interview those guys. Charles Woodson, penalty marker, as Woodson takes it out to the 18. 53-yard punt, 6 on the return.
During return, holding, receiving team number 24. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's on Jared Bush. as we check in once again with Chris Rose. Chris?
All right, Kenny and Baldy, maybe the Niners should check their defensive play chart as well. I think they only had about 8 guys on defense on this play. John Kitna to Dan Campbell for the touchdown. The Lions are within 6 down in their dome. Back to Kenny, Baldy, and the Glaze. Speaking of domes.
Frank Gore of the 49ers with a big day. We saw the Dan Campbell touchdown. Lions coming over the victory over the Falcons last week.
John Kitna having a very good year in Detroit. Good pickup by Mike Martz and Matt Millen there.
Packers start from their own 9. Amon Green gaining 2. Tackled by Kevin Williams, setting up second down and 8 as we check in once again with Jay.
Well, guys, I think for the most part, the world thinks this is probably the last 18 minutes of game time that Brett Favre will play in the Metrodome. Not so according to Mike McCarthy, his head coach. McCarthy told me last night, I'm trying to convince him to stick around. He's having a lot more fun. He's hanging out at the complex more than he has in years. In fact, we even gave him his own office down there so he can hang out. I'm going to try and convince him these last 8 games will really dictate. What about you, Ball? Do you think he's coming back?
Yeah, I think he's having a lot of fun, and he knows the team is getting better. I think he wants to be a part of that.
Second down and 8. Favre heaving downfield. And it's out of bounds. Well, Favre told us yesterday, in looking back at the first half of the season, there's Brett's wife, Deanna. Brett said to us, bad teams don't put up the type of numbers that we have.
Yeah. And, no, I think that... I think he likes Mike McCarthy. He coached him before. I think he's got some guys on this team that he likes. I mean, a couple guys invited him to go hunting this week. He declined because he said those guys like Aaron Campman and A.J. Hawk, they just got a brand new toy. I don't want to go out there with inexperienced guys and a rifle.
Instead, he's on the field with inexperienced players. 17 rookies on this Packers squad.
That'll keep you young, though.
Third down and 8. Favre to Jennings, one of those 17 rookies, and Jennings picks up a first down.
And he likes Greg Jennings, and he knows he needs a second option opposite Donald Driver for this offense to be more efficient. And he continues to find him, and he likes him. He says he plays on the outside right here, working against Antoine Winfield. Gets off the jam, stays alive. Very good hands on Greg Jennings.
Favre told us yesterday Greg Jennings will be a star one day in this league.
And, maybe Brett will have a chance to make him a star. Right now, another rookie, Tony Mall, is playing right tackle for Mark Tauscher, who's out of the game. 3 rookie offensive linemen out there now.
Mall, a 5th-round draft pick out of Nevada. Amon Green takes the first down handoff, running to his right, and gains 5 out to the 30. Jay.
Kenny, the other thing that McCarthy said is guys like Jennings and some of the younger guys, that's what he's going to try to sell to Favre. We now know next year who you're going to have, who we're building around you. And he's saying, this is what we really hope gets in his mind. The one thing, though, he said, we don't want to drag it out, have the long drama again like we did this past offseason. We've told Brett we'd like to know if we can much earlier than we did this past year.
And with a win today, the Packers will be right in the thick of things in the NFC. Second and 5, Driver. And Driver is tackled just shy of the first down marker by Antoine Winfield.
We know last year it was the first losing season that Brett had in Green Bay, and the expectations were very high coming off a division championship and frustrating loss to the Vikings in the playoffs, but the expectations were high and then they just collapsed. And so he went through a losing season and it was long, and he'd never been through that before. But he feels like this team should easily be 5-3 outside of a couple of turnovers late in games, and really they have a chance to do that.
Third down and 1. Green. And the Vikings stop him about a yard and a half shy.
A lot of negative runs today for this Packer offense, and give credit to the #1 run defense in the league, led by that man Mike Tomlin, the defensive coordinator.
But the Packers will take a lead into the 4th quarter on the road. It's Green Bay 20, Minnesota 14.
And the Viking cheerleaders sending a little happiness to our veterans, where we celebrate Veterans Day tomorrow. Our trusted cameraman Mike Ratuz a Vietnam vet. Hats off to everybody serving our military.
Terrific punt, and Moore had it knocked away, and it goes through the end zone. So a safety, and the Packers now lead by 8.
And they'll get the ball back.
Initially ruled safety by the official in the end zone. And now Terry McCauley discussing the play with his crew.
Now they're saying it's a touchback.
The result of the play is a touchback. The receiver never gained possession of the ball. The punt put the ball in the end zone. Ball replaced to the 20-yard line, first down.
So because it was ruled a muff, it is a touchback, and the Vikings will have it on the 20.
And it's a muff because there was never any possession here by Mewelde Moore.
And then it was kicked by Jared Bush. Went through the end zone, initially ruled a safety, and then the officials got together and ruled it a muff.
Well, they got the call correct. And a big turnaround there as well. I mean, if he had had possession and that was a fumble, that would have been a safety with now and then an 8-point difference in this game, and the Packers would have had a chance to receive the ball. So big turnaround there on that call.
So the Vikings start from their own 20. Chester Taylor spinning it out to the 23. Gain of 3. A.J. Hawk makes yet another tackle. Coming up, game 2 of our Fox doubleheader. Many of you will see the Steelers and the Saints from Pittsburgh, or the Rams and the Seahawks. That's coming up following the Vikings and the Packers right here on Fox. New Orleans Saints with a 1-game lead on the Falcons, who trailed Cleveland 14-3. Home in the third quarter. Chester Taylor gaining 1, tackled by KGB.
You know, a big story today this week in Minnesota was Antoine Winfield spoke up after last week's defeat to the San Francisco 49ers. And he said that our offense is predictable. He said we kicked too many field goals, and really it took a veteran like Antoine Winfield to speak up. And Brad Childress later on that week had him stand up in a meeting and speak his mind. But I think it got everybody's attention, but this does look predictable right now. 2 runs on first down. Now Brad Johnson forced to throw it on third down.
They're down in 7. Here comes Pontepiamilla. Johnson able to get rid of it, and then took the hit.
Unblocked KGB on that play too, and Brad Johnson is not going to run away from starting defensive ends in this league. Watch KGB coming on the outside. See, Bryant McKinney was caught in no man's land. Blocked the defensive end or the man in his gap. You know, you like to try to keep everything in-house, but sometimes a veteran like Antoine Winfield, who's normally kind of a quiet guy, when he speaks up, it sends off an alarm to everybody else on the team. Brad Childress kind of laughed about it, said, you know what, he wasn't wrong about anything.
Good kick by Kluwe. Woodson on the return. So the Vikings have had the ball 4 times in the second half. They have punted 4 times.
Fox NFL Sunday is sponsored by Hummer, like nothing else. By FedEx, for all your shipping needs. By Radio Shack. And by Budweiser, bright, crisp, clean, pure. This is Budweiser. This is beer.
Happy Veterans Day!
Let me tell you, our veterans over there in the Middle East would love to see those girls come over, cheer things up. I've been over there. It is a dreadful place. They could use all of the upturn and happiness they could find right there.
They enjoyed your visit as well.
I went with the Green Bay Packer at the time, Marco Rivera.
Mont Green on the first down carry.
I went with Marco Rivera when he was playing with the Packers, and believe me, there were Packer fans that came out. I mean, they travel to the Middle East and Iraq and Kuwait and wherever they're at. I mean, they've got the cheese heads. They come out there in the desert with it, and posters and footballs to be signed. Following all these NFL games on the internet over there. the passion for the game hasn't changed just because they're serving our military over there so far away. Good to see them smiling and healthy back here.
Second down and 8. Favre can't find anyone. Good protection. And the pass incomplete, intended for the tight end Donald Lee, who has caught only 3 all season.
I tell you, Favre has an ability still to avoid the rush. Just kind of backpedal there. He's got the ball kind of wailing, his arms wailing, trying to stay on his feet and avoid the rush here. His hands are so big and strong. He's one of the few guys that can actually pump his arm there without actually cupping the ball with the other hand. He can still fire it.
Third down and 8. Packers leading by 6. They have to get to the 37. Noah Herron. And he's tackled about 3 yards shy by Cedric Griffin.
I tell you, this Viking defense has played well here in the second half, and for parts of this game very well outside of a couple of plays, but they haven't created any turnovers. And that's what's missing from this defense. Yeah, number 1 against the run, but they haven't gotten the ball out, they haven't knocked it loose, and they haven't gotten any turnovers.
Weldy Moore awaiting John Ryan's punt. Ryan from his own 25. Bounces out of bounds at the 23-yard line. So the Vikings trailing by 6. Back in offense in a moment.
Just want to give a shout out to my family back home, and also the Packers and the greatest quarterback of all time, Brett Favre.
Say hi to my mom and dad back in Brooklyn Park. I miss you guys. Give a shout out to everyone in my hometown. Hey, everybody in the dome, make some noise for the Vikings.
Well, there's a couple of them making some noise here. They've been quiet here. Viking offense has come to a stop here in the second half of this game.
They've gained only 1 first down since halftime. Will this be number 2? Penalty marker. Pass intended for the tight end, Jermaine Wiggins.
Illegal contact, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, that's one way to advance the ball. Well played game. Not many penalties so far today. On behalf of the Packers. But Brad Johnson has to get the ball. He's got to get his wide receivers involved in his offense. In the first half, when they did that, they moved the ball and they scored touchdowns. Haven't been able to get the ball to him here much in the second half.
From the 28, Chester Taylor. Taylor gaining 5 out to the 33-yard line. So a 2nd and 5 coming up for the Vikings, who trail by 6. Billy McMullen with both Minnesota touchdowns on a 40-yard pass early in the second quarter, and then he recovered a fumble just outside the end zone, brought it in for the 2nd and 3rd touchdowns of his NFL career.
And he only gets on the field when they go to 4 wide receivers, so only 2 of them out there now, so he's on the sideline.
2nd down and 5. Johnson in trouble. Down he goes for the 3rd time. Nick Barnett along with A.J. Hawk.
I tell you, those linebackers are active. Brad Johnson tried to play action fake. They didn't go for any play action fake on that. They just came. Watch this fake here to Chester Taylor. Here comes A.J. Hawk around the corner. Dropped his shoulders there. That looks like one of those hits we'll see this Saturday between Michigan and Ohio State. Nick Barnett leads this. Those 2 guys lead this team in tackles. A.J. Hawk came in today. Number 1 in tackles. Barnett number 2 in tackles for the Packers.
13 tackles today for Hawk. Johnson setting up the screen to Moore. And Weldy Moore is stopped shy of the marker as we check in once again with Chris Rose in Los Angeles.
Kenny, a crazy one in Cincinnati. Carson Palmer steps up and finds a wide open Chad jumps. He said throw him the ball more this week. 9 catches, a team record, 226 yards and 2 scores, and the Bengals up 10. Back to Kenny, Baldy, and the Glaze.
That ought to make Chad happy here for temporarily. Big day for Carson Palmer. You see these highlights. Highlights involve wide receivers every Sunday, and that's what the Vikings need to do on offense, get those guys involved.
Instead, it's Kluwe punting for the 5th time this half. And Charles Woodson with a big return out to the 39-yard line, setting up good field position for the Packers, who lead by 6.
Fox NFL Sunday is sponsored by Cadillac. Check out the Cadillac navigation event going on now. Cadillac, life, liberty, and the pursuit.
Back in Minneapolis, Kenny Albert, Brian Baldinger, Jay Glazer. Packers lead the Vikings 20-14. Green Bay without right tackle Mark Tauscher, suffered a leg injury, will not return. Has been replaced by Tony Mall. 1st and 10 for the Packers from their own 39, and that pass was behind the intended receiver Driver.
Right now, the Vikings defense is looking at trying to dial up the pressure, turn up the pressure here to try to get Brett Favre to turn this ball over. They know right now that the defense has to pick it up here. They need a play, and so right there they went to a bear look where they covered everybody up inside and they blitzed Favre and forced him to get rid of that ball quickly.
Favre 270 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns. Driver a career high 185 yards. 2nd and 10. Favre to Driver. Driver tackled at the 44-yard line. Gain of 6. Setting up 3rd down and 4.
I tell you, Brett always knows where Donald Driver is. I mean, he came into today with 50 catches. I mean, halfway to 100 right now. And he went left, fake left that time, and really with no time to really adjust his eyes, came back and found Driver in traffic with a pinpoint pass.
Packers have to get to the 49. Favre complete, but Griffin is there to make the tackle. David Martin needed 4, gained just 1.
Vikings showed blitz that time against the Packers. Got Brett to change them, and then watch the defensive guys. Watch them all put their hands up in the air. They called the blitz off, and now all they have to do is come up and make the tackle underneath. Kind of baited Brett into throwing that ball quicker than he wanted to, and then made the tackle.
Ryan punting from his own 35 to Mewelde Moore. Moore lets it go. Into the end zone it bounces. 54-yard punt, a net of only 34. Packers leading by 6. Fox's football coverage does not end when the games are over. Stick around for the OT as we get you updated on the big BCS shakeup following yesterday's upsets. It's the OT coming up after the late games only on Fox. Vikings trailing by 6, start at their own 20. Chester Taylor on 1st down. Big burst, and he gains 9. Stopped by Aaron Campbell. Yard shy of the 1st down.
Brad Johnson has been sacked 4 times today, hit 10 other times. So it's been tough sledding there, trying to get the ball down the field. Big plays come out of the passing game, and it's been tough.
Only 2 first downs this half for the Vikings. Johnson going deep. Under it is Patrick Dendy. And Dendy comes up with the interception. The first of his career.
Looked like a little miscommunication between Brad Johnson and the receiver, Bethel Johnson, who stopped on the play. Here's Bethel Johnson on the outside. So he kind of slows down there. He doesn't think he's going to get the ball, and he quit on the route. Brad Johnson's got to drop back, hit the 7th step, and get rid of that ball. And Bethel Johnson slowed down, didn't think he was going to get it, and Dendy got the interception. And now he's being talked to by Brad Childress.
So Patrick Dendy, second season out of Rice, played sparingly last year, did not make the team out of training camp this season, then was brought back with the second takeaway by the Packers defense today. Favre rolling right. And now fires. Oh, the catch is made by Ruvel Martin. What a catch. And Martin picks up a Green Bay first down.
What a catch, what a throw. What a job of Brett Favre keeping himself alive on a rollout here, trying to move the pocket a little bit. Brett's kind of scanning the field, and he can still hum that thing in there. Good catch by Ruvel Martin, going back across his body. Brett trying to build a relationship with some of these young receivers during the games.
And he's hit 7 different receivers today. From the 37 on first down, William Henderson with room to run. Took a hard hit, lost his helmet.
He still got the ball in his hands, though, doesn't he? Look at it, nothing to it.
Let's listen.
Let me tell you, you do not survive 12 years in the NFL at fullback if you can't take those kind of hits. The ear pad got thrown out, the mouthpiece got thrown out. Some hit by Dontarius Thomas.
Henderson held on to the football and gained 8.
Delay of game, offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
So this will force the Packers back. Packers turned the ball over 4 times last week in Buffalo. Lost the game. They have not turned the ball over today.
Yeah, in this league, it's about the turnover battle. So look at what happens when you win the turnover battle. You win well over 80% of the time. Last week, 11 of the 12 teams that won the turnover battle also won the games.
Second down and 7 following the penalty. Bubba Franks, first down Packers. As Favre goes over 300 for the 3rd time this season, 48th time in his career.
Well, that got Favre excited. He was excited about that. Pumped up getting Bubba Franks the ball, read the coverage correctly, got the ball out of his hands. Right in the middle of the field. The Vikings have young linebackers. They ask their middle linebacker to cover the deep middle, almost where the safeties are, and so sometimes that linebacker vacates, and that's where you want to hit the receiver.
Favre perfect on his last 5 attempts, 8 of the last 10. From the 42. Out of the backfield, Henderson. This time, helmet stays on. Henderson gaining 3.
Well, I thought, you know, coming into today, for Brett Favre and this Packer offense, really they thought noise was going to be a big factor in the game, and it isn't right now. Viking fans are quiet. He can call the cadence right now. That's the offensive coordinator, Jeff Jagodzinski. Looks pretty calm right now. Fans are calm. Brett loves coming to the Metrodome when the fans are calm. It hasn't been that frequent.
Looking to win here for the 3rd time the last 4 years. He's 4-10 overall in this dome. Second down and 7. 3 receiver set. Favre looking for Ruvel Martin, so a 3rd and 7 coming up. Favre today, 230 consecutive starts, surpasses the longtime Houston Oiler Bruce Matthews. He now has the 3rd longest streak in league history for consecutive starts, trailing only 2 Minnesota Vikings, Jim Marshall and Mick Tingelhoff, the only players in league history to start more consecutive games than Favre.
Longtime players under the icon here in Minnesota, Bud Grant.
Third down and 7. Favre with time. Now he throws, and Ruvel Martin able to make the catch.
Wow. Favre took as much time as he possibly could handle to find Ruvel Martin uncovering in the middle of the field. Held this ball, must have felt like an eternity, and then fired it. Ruvel Martin takes the hit. And hang on to this ball. Right there, looks like he squeezed it in pretty well.
Brad Childress will challenge.
Let's take a look at this angle here. Still can't tell if the ball's on the ground.
Minnesota has challenged the ruling on the field that the play was a catch.
Because it was ruled a catch, there must be conclusive visual evidence otherwise for the officials to overturn it.
Well, that's going to be the angle right there. That's probably going to best show it. Officials are looking at the same replays that you're looking at home right now here.
Remember, it was ruled a reception on the field by the officials.
It looks like that left hand has got that ball cradled pretty well. And if you can't see it come out and bounce off the turf, then you have to stay with the ruling of a catch.
It will either be a first down or a 4th and 7 on the Minnesota 39. Ruvel Martin gained 20 yards on the play.
You know, if you see that play in real time, like they just looked at it in real time there, and you say it's a catch, it's got to stay a catch.
And again, it was ruled a catch on the field, so Terry McCauley must see conclusive evidence that it was not a catch in order to overturn the challenge or to overturn the call.
From what I've seen there, Kenny, that's a catch, and it's going to stay a catch. That Ruvel Martin has been a heck of a story. He went to Saginaw Valley State in Michigan. Was with the San Diego Chargers for a while. Went over to NFL Europe, played in that league. Same league that Brad Johnson came out of. Played a season over there for the Amsterdam Admirals. And because of suspension to Corin Robinson here, some injuries to Robert Ferguson, he's got a chance to play now.
After review, the receiver maintained control of the football when he hit the ground. It is a catch as ruled on the field. Minnesota is charged with their second team timeout.
And they are out of challenges. So with 3:41 remaining. A first down for the Packers. Favre is now 7 for his last 8. As the Packers are now inside the red zone on the Vikings 19.
Of course, the big play that Brad Childress argued about was the opening kickoff return of the third quarter for the Vikings for a touchdown that got called back because of a penalty. And what a difference that would make in this game right now.
Packers led at the half, 17-14. The only scoring here in the second half, a Dave Rayner field goal. Amon Green gains a couple down to the 17-yard line.
Well, the Vikings came in with the #1 defense against the run this year, and into this game, and they've done a great job of shutting that down. But they haven't been able to shut down Brett Favre or the passing attack today. Haven't sacked him yet today. Haven't forced him in any kind of a turnover. He has been in complete control here.
You see the Vikings with only 1 timeout due to the 2 lost challenges in the second half.
Packers are trying to finish games these days. They know they can play well and move. They're trying to finish games and come on the winning side.
Second down and 8. A pump fake from Favre. Now he throws, and it's caught by Henderson. And William Henderson takes it down to the 11 to the approval of Deanna Favre. And for Henderson, his 5th catch of the game.
That was a slow come off the turf by Favre in that time. Didn't look like he was going to make it up.
Wincing a bit as he rejoins the huddle.
You think he's saying I'm getting a little too old for this right now?
The way he's played today, why would he even consider retiring?
Wow. He's got this offense looking pretty good. They're trying to finish this off.
3rd down and 2. Good protection again. And then the pressure came and Favre throws it away.
And really a smart play. Really smart, because right now they're up 6. You put the field goal kicker on there, have a chance to go up 9 and make this a 2-score game, and why take any chances with the ball?
Rayner has hit from 20 and 24. This will be a 29-yard attempt. Rob Davis will snap it. John Ryan, the holder.
Vikings all packed in the middle, trying to a middle block right now.
Rayner is now 3 for 3. The Packers lead by 9 with 2 minutes, 11 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. Well, Brian, are you ready to see a glimpse of next year's biggest movie? Tonight on Fox, don't miss the world premiere of the Simpsons movie trailer during an all-new episode of The Simpsons. It all starts tonight at 8, 7 Central, only on Fox.
Is that going to be bigger than Borat? I heard that movie is popular. You went to see that the other day.
Only time will tell.
Yeah, Favre, he's grinning now. That's a good sign here. He hasn't had many opportunities to do that here in the Metrodome. Great day throwing the ball, though. And the no turnovers has been the key. And that's all Mike McCarthy talked to us about in the meeting yesterday, that he talked to the team about, is stop the turnovers, and we're going to give ourselves a chance to win these games and get back into the mix.
McCarthy said the Packers worked on ball security drills all week. He said, I'm tired of talking about it.
And they know how I feel about it. There's no question, though, that this team is improving. We've talked about a lot of young players in this team here today, the offensive linemen, Greg Jennings, A.J. Hawk, and they're really coming together. Mike McCarthy's done a good job of bringing them together. They're playing very well. They just have to finish out games and not turn it over, and they're going to give a lot of team fits before the season's over.
Up next for the Packers, the New England Patriots. Next Sunday. Former Patriot Bethel Johnson on the return for the Vikings. And Johnson crosses the 25 with 2:04 remaining in the 4th. Vikings trailing by 9. We want to send out special thanks to Pete Chalveris, our technical producer, who has been with us over the first 10 weeks. Also to Mark Lawfer, John Warner, and Rick Camps.
A couple local guys here. Rick Camps from Green Bay, and Mark and John from the Twin Cities here.
With us all season, always do a great job. One play for the Vikings prior to the 2-minute warning. From the 27. Johnson over the top, and the catch is made by McMullen, who has both Viking touchdowns. And McMullen takes it all the way out to the 45-yard line. He gains 18. So Johnson over to the sidelines. Vikings trail by 9.
Brett Favre was just looking up at the scoreboard, looking around the league at scores that were being shown up there, and the Packers, with a chance to go to 4-5 today, would be tied with the Vikings, and who knows in the second half of this season. You got to win games in November and December, and there's a lot of upsets today. Winning this league, you stay optimistic and you try and put a streak together.
With a win today, the Packers would match their victory total of a year ago. Catch is made by Mewelby Moore in Packers territory. And Moore takes it all the way down to the Green Bay 29-yard line with 1:46 on the clock. 26-yard pickup for Moore.
And he was able to get out of bounds, too, where they didn't have to burn a timeout and burn any more clock. And if you're looking for a player that the Vikings have to get involved outside of Billy McMullen Moore, you have to say Mewelby Moore. A guy that can give this team a spark in a lot of different areas in the return game and out of the backfield.
Moore remains in the game. A 1st and 10 from the Packers 29. 3 receivers set. McMullen in the slot. Vikings trailing by 9. Low snap. Johnson recovers and then throws it out of bounds.
Mike McCarthy went through the low snaps and the bad snaps last week. And that loss to Buffalo. Down here at the bottom, Al Harris has done a great job shutting down receivers on his side of the field today.
Troy Williamson without a catch. Johnson on 2nd and 10, dumps it off to Moore. Patrick Dendy with the initial contact, and Moore is taken down at the 21. Vikings used their final timeout. They lost their first 2 this half on challenges. Charles Woodson slow to get up. As we mentioned, the Patriots will visit Lambeau, and then the Packers head out to Seattle on a Monday night.
Patriots have lost 2 games in a row now.
First time that has happened in their last 58 games. They have not lost back-to-back games since 2002.
Brett knows that this team is getting better, but he said, you know, we need to win to show it. You just can't talk about it. You can't look at the statistics. You need wins to verify. Today they're pretty close.
Packers have already won 2 road games this year in Detroit and in Miami. 3rd down and 3. Chester Taylor back in. On the 21. Johnson. And the pass is caught by Taylor for a first down. He stayed in bounds, so the clock continues to run. Vikings are out of timeouts.
He wants the clock to kill this ball right here and stop the clock. Go to 2nd down.
So the clock stops with 1:10 remaining. Today's game produced by Pete Macheska, directed by Michael Frank. Happy birthday to Michael. Celebrated his birthday on Friday. Our associate director, Barry Landis. Broadcast associate, Chirag Devaskar. Technical producer, as we mentioned, Pete Chalveris. Studio show produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The associate director, Stephanie Medina. Jack Simmons, the senior vice president of production. The senior producer is Bill Brown. The executive producers, Ed Gordon and David Hill. Thanks to our stat crew, Ben Bowman, John Davis, Matt Banovic, and Rick Camps. Johnson on 2nd and 10. He was grabbed from behind. His right shoulder was grabbed by Aaron Campman, and then Johnson able to get rid of it.
Well, Campman had him by the shoulder. Brad Johnson just using whatever strength he has left just to get rid of the ball, but Campman came in today with at least a half a sack in 5 straight games. They've done a pretty good job of protecting against him today.
Packers do have 4 sacks. Steelers and Saints coming up next. Some of you will see the Rams and the Seahawks. Johnson's numbers today. 3rd down and 10. To the near side, incomplete. He was looking for McMullen, so now...
Yeah, you kicked the field goal now, Ken.
Vikings will send out the field goal unit, try and cut it to a 6-point game.
Well, you need 2 scores, so it doesn't matter in what order they come in. You go and get the field goal right now with Longwell, and then you go for the onside kick.
So Longwell, who spent the last 9 seasons in Green Bay, Packers all-time leading scorer, out to attempt a 34-yarder. Cullen Leffler will snap it. Kluwe the holder, and the play is blown dead before the kick. Packers call time.
Charge timeout, Green Bay, prior to the snap. 30-second timeout.
We welcome those of you who have just joined us. Kenny Albert, Brian Baldinger, Jay Glazer from the Metrodome in Minneapolis, where Brett Favre is only 4-10 in his career. The Green Bay Packers took a 10-0 first quarter lead. And with 1:02 remaining, it's the Packers by 9. Vikings getting set to attempt a 34-yard field goal. Huge day for Brett Favre, his 48th career 300-yard game. He has thrown 2 touchdown passes, including an 82-yarder to Donald Driver. Former Packer Ryan Longwell out to attempt a 34-yard field goal, which would cut the Green Bay lead to just 6. No timeouts remaining for the Vikings. And Longwell's First field goal attempt against the Packers is good. So with 58 seconds remaining, it's Green Bay 23, Minnesota 17. Packers, big story last week, turnovers. They committed 4 in their loss to the Bills, have not turned the ball over today. Something Mike McCarthy, no doubt, is very pleased about. Their lead is 6 with under a minute on the clock.
And Mike McCarthy still looks uneasy, because this thing is far from over. Vikings need a bounce. They need a bounce off this onside kick. They need a break to go their way, and just never know which way the ball is going to bounce. Now, Mike McCarthy has also said this is the time of the year you want to play your best football, and he's right. And so the Packers to this point have played a great 59 minutes of football today. They got to close it out. Really, all they need to do here is recover this onside kick, and they can take a knee and go back to Green Bay with a well-earned victory.
Longwell will tee it up at the 30. As you saw, there have been only 5 successful onside kicks in the NFL this season over the first 9 weeks.
Vikings just kind of charge the line of scrimmage from a bunch formation here, so they don't know really which direction it's going to go.
Now they need at least 4 on each side.
Yeah, they changed that rule this year.
Ball must travel at least 10 yards. It's up in the air. There is a flag. It's loose. There is a flag on the field.
So were the Vikings offside on it. That's generally what the call is when you see a flag on that play.
Offside, kicking team number 22. 5-yard penalty, re-kick.
That's Artus Pinner, who was called for a huge penalty earlier on the second half kickoff return.
Tell you. Yeah, there it is. He's clearly 2 yards past the 30-yard line before Longwell's got that ball on the ground. You could say that special teams has been the difference today. Artus Pinner with the block in the back on Bethel Johnson's kickoff return for a touchdown. What a call that was to start the third quarter.
Now another penalty on Pinner. So the Vikings get another chance. Here's Longwell from the 25. Goes to his left. Out of bounds. So it will be Packers football.
5-yard penalty from the spot where it went out of bounds. First down, receiving team.
And now the Packers will be able to run out the clock. Vikings with no timeouts remaining. Big day for Brett Favre, hitting Noah Herron for a touchdown in the first quarter. And then Donald Driver, 82 yards, 5th longest pass of Favre's career. And then he sprinted 82 yards downfield to celebrate.
Yeah, Brett Favre had told Jake Glazer that he had no good memories inside this building. In fact, Brett said he wants to help tear this thing down when that time comes. Give him a pick and an axe and let him chop it down a little bit.
Well, the Packers will win here at the Metrodome for the 3rd time the last 4 years. Favre now 5-10 in Minneapolis during his illustrious career as he throws for 347 yards. Mike McCarthy's Packers raised their record to 4-5, tied for 2nd place in the NFC North with the Vikings. Bears will be in action tonight, of course, against the New York Giants.
Good win for Green Bay in a real rivalry game. We got a lot of that here today. But what Mike McCarthy preached all week long was turnovers. They didn't turn it over today. Took care of the football and came out of Minnesota here with a great win.
Vikings lose their 3rd in a row after starting the season 4-2. Favre hugging his former teammate Darren Sharper, who is surrounded by Packers. The Vikings will travel to Miami next week to face the Dolphins. Packers will be home for New England. The 2 oldest quarterbacks in the NFL. And now the former Packer, Brian Longwell, chatting with Favre. The Packers win it by the score of 23-17.
Well, it's wins like this where Brett Favre doesn't feel very old. In fact, he feels spry. And he played like it today. The arm was live. He was accurate.